The first talk on stage 2 is about Pentest reports. Please cue in the intro.
So, hi. I invite you to join us in this little mental exercise. So, imagine you just conducted an epic Pentest assignment. I mean, the findings were great. You put that extra detail into writing the report, and you feel proud of your work. I think it's your best report so far. Now comes the time where you hand over the report to the client. Usually the PDF file or a doc file is the only tangible product that the client gets and that shows your work that you did in the project. So it is extra important that everything that you mark down is understandable so the client can implement these recommendations into actionable decisions. So you go over the report, you introduce the findings and suggest some recommendations on what to do next. The client nods. They understand that, yeah, maybe the situation is not the best, but then comes silence. The client actually doesn't understand what to do next. So they might not know who to give these recommendations to implement to, or they might think that those are a bunch of low-level issues anyway, so why should we even try to solve those? Simply because the client is lost in translations, these security vulnerabilities will get not fixed. Today, we are going to help you tackle that issue. We did research on how to improve the usability of Pentest reports, and we focused on the client-side perspective. Our research is part of the CHESS project, which aims to take both industry specialists and academic researchers to bring them together and to solve real-life cybersecurity issues. So, hi, I am Maria. I work as a cybersecurity engineer in Cybernetica, and my main focus is on penetration testing and analyzing complex security-sensitive systems. And today with me is Katarina.
Hello, my name is Katarina. I am a researcher from Masaryk University Brno in Czechia. It is my first time talking to people with headsets, so it's an amazing experience. I kind of love the combination of cybersecurity and human element. That's why I study usable security. I am not only academic, I'm also working in industry, and I used to be more on the offensive side. I used to work as an ethical hacker, now I'm more like protecting and defending. But when I was a pen tester, I often experienced a situation where we handed out the report to the customer and it came back with the request for further explanation, how we should interpret the results, what we should really do to mitigate it, and it kind of came to my mind like it is an interesting topic to study. Do anybody give some focus there? So I try to look at different resources like, is anybody doing anything on usability of Pentest reports? And I found out that there are standards and directives saying that do a pen test, but nobody says like how to do it. So it kind of opened an area for research. So we decided to do like an introductory study and how to do it in an area that was not explored before. we wanted to get the opinions of the people that are the readers, the consumers of the report. So we gathered like professionals from industry and from Czechia and also Estonia. And we wanted to ask like, where are the pain points? So to do it in a little bit different way, we know that what they usually see is the report itself, but they maybe do not know exactly how the process of pen testing is done. Of course, we cannot show them like 1 week of full pen test, but we decided that let's do like a demonstration that will be like selected findings, some exploitation and such. So we did like a demo application, and we started with some reconnaissance. We intercepted the HTTPS traffic and like started to find different vulnerabilities, and then we exploited them. Then what we did, we gave them like a report, but not, of course, the 50 pages long report. We gave them like one specific finding that was exploited in front of them before. And we asked like, is this what you would expect? Is this something you would know how to act on? And we wanted them to rate the report, also the structure. So we used like a survey to get their opinions. But we thought like, okay, a survey, we know how to rate this specific finding, but this is not enough. So we wanted to add something more, and we wanted to talk to people actually and really discuss like where are the problems in their opinion. So we did focus groups. You can imagine it as like talking to people around the table, I don't know, 7, 8 professionals, and there is a moderator with a structured discussion, and the moderator aims to not influence the others, but really just gather their opinions. So it was really interesting to see different perceptions, because we had cybersecurity managers that are like decision makers. We had developers that are like the ones writing the code, and what they find important is different.
So today we are not going to deep dive into everything that we found out, but we are going to focus on things that you can implement today to improve your pen test reports. But first, let's start from the positives. We found out that the report structure is actually really useful for the client. Although it is not standardized, the usual flow of having an executive summary, a methodology, a scope, and so on is really useful for both managerial and technical roles. The managers focus on the description on how this pen test was conducted, but the more technical roles only look at the issue descriptions and step-by-step ways to recreate it. And also, of course, look at the recommendations. One positive thing that clients really highlighted is that the reports boost their confidence. They have concrete evidence that their security posture is one way, and if they implement some recommendations, they can boost their security maturity. So they were really positive and happy that penetration testing is part of their workflow. Today, we are going to focus on 2 types of improvement areas. And these 2 were the topics that actually had the most suggestions on how to improve on. So we're going to tackle format and recommendations. Regarding formatting, one thing that clients really lack is the positive findings. So pen test reports tend to be highly negative. They only state the issues that you found, but they don't clearly state what was actually done well. So when we have a section that goes over like functionality or parts of the applications that wasn't maybe vulnerable or was implemented quite nicely, the client gets like a pat on their back that job well done. Another thing is that the positive findings actually help to prove to management that investments are made well in these areas. So investing in security pays off in the long run. Usually, the pen test report itself is a PDF file or a doc file. While it's quite useful for management to go over, to look at the visuals and to get the feeling on how things are, it is not really useful for the technical people. Usually, the workflow includes one person who takes the PDF file, copy and pastes all their recommendation ideas and the issue descriptions into a ticketing system. So there is a lot of manual labor. So if we could include now some machine readability alongside with the PDF files, that would be really useful and improve efficiency. For example, providing a JSON file or a CSV file or even like a XML file could allow them to import these findings and steps to take into their ticketing systems, like for example Jira or Confluence, and then be transported to the backlog and help their division and prioritization. Also, one finding that many different participants agreed on was that the advice given should depend on the size of the company. We had the experience of interviewing both smaller and medium-sized company representatives as well as larger organization representatives. The smaller or medium companies often don't have like a dedicated security person or a team, so usually the developer or engineer has to take these recommendations and do something with them. So this easy understandable is really key. Also, when in the report it is clearly highlighted what should be prioritized and what should be tackled when time, is also helpful for them to assign the prioritization in the long run. But different companies have different types of teams and departments, so this custom-made tailor approach is not necessary for larger corporations because their security team is going to tackle it by themselves.
And now we are to hear about recommendations. When I was a pen tester, I once witnessed a project where it was a little bit eye-opening for me, where we had a website and there was like /admin after the domain admin interface of accessible. So of course we reported this, and how it usually goes, they take some time for like repairing it, mitigating it, and then they ask for a retest. And then we, of course, retested it. We tried like /admin. It was not accessible. But a curious pen tester would try like /admin because he knows some URL standard. And of course, we tried it, and it was accessible because they mitigated. They had some security control in place, but it was only for /admin. So then the process went again. So we reported this, and then they asked for a retest once more. And we already knew what we are going to test. We tried 3 slashes, and we accessed the admin interface again. So at that time, I started to think like we must be doing something wrong. Either we are giving very bad security advice, or they are doing very bad job at securing the application. And so that was one of the moments when I started to think, okay, security controls are important, but they must be implemented correctly. And also, like from a pen tester perspective, we should really focus on writing the recommendation in the best way possible. Of course, there are some restrictions in the meaning, like it's not like white box thing. We do not see everything, but we should do the best to explain what is going on and what to do. Back to the study. During the focus groups, we discussed that isn't it even a thing that a pen tester should give the advice like how to fix it? Isn't the pen tester's job to attack it? But in the end, we came to the conclusion that it is like a first step for the company, for the person that is mitigating it, to see something, how to mitigate it, to have some advice. So it's good to have something. So luckily, we can still do the research and continue. And they suggested like some ways how to improve, how the recommendations is given. One of the improvements is to provide multiple mitigations. That is in the case when you can imagine, again, pen tester doesn't know everything, he or she gives an advice, and maybe it's not like in the budget, maybe it's not like time-wise possible, so they wanted to have multiple versions of what can they do to mitigate it, not just one thing. They wanted to know if they are applying some mitigation, what impact does it have? Is it going to reduce system performance? Is it going to require some downtime? Are there any other restrictions they should know? So I would say it was more for like decision makers and managers, because technical people just wanted to like, for them the ideal would be like step-by-step think, what should I do exactly? But when a managerial person reads it, probably what they need to know, like, is it going to affect the business somehow? When we were talking about multiple mitigations, there was a need for preferred one. So there could be a fix that is like, I don't want to say hot fix, but like short-term fix. There could be a fix that is like an ideal one, and they wanted to know which one is which, so they can then discuss and apply what is the best for them. And as we know, the report is a report for multiple readers and, let's say, multiple target groups. It's not a document that is read just by one person. It can be if the company is very small, but usually it goes through like managers to really someone coding there in the like first floor. So they would like to know if they are reading something, for who did we write it? Did we write it for the technical person, or did we write it for the developer, or for the one responsible for configuration files? So they wanted something like, if we give like recommendation, this is what you should do, we could add a tag saying like this is dev issue, and or this is like config issue. So they would know when they are processing the report, like to which department, to which person to send it out or to assign the Jira ticket. So that was from our like selected results from our introductory study. It was interesting that when we let the people rate like the finding that they got, they rated the recommendation part as the worst with respect to clarity. So that's why we decided to focus more on security advice, like what we are advising. And we choose some selected features that we wanted to test, but also we knew it's 2025 and AI is like rising and everything, so what would it be to not include AI in our research? So we wanted to also know if we are replaceable as pen testers in some way, at least like partially. So we wanted to try like human versus AI recommendations. And we added 2 selected features. So we had 5 versions of a recommendation for one finding, and only one was like written by a pen tester. The rest of them was like AI-based, but they differed in like level of detail, whether it was like very short one or it was like more like multiple mitigations were mentioned and more like step-by-step thing. And also we wanted to see if the tagging affects how people perceive it. So we try to take 2 of them with like responsible role is backend developer, and wanted to know like how it affects people. So we created like 5 versions and then tried to gather participants and gave each person like randomly 2 of them. And sample-wise, we were a little bit better than the first study. We started with 200 cybersecurity students. It was interesting, I would say, like if we would want to differ from IT professionals, that the confidence of the students, let's say they are like junior cybersecurity people, affects how they perceive things and how they decide what they would apply, what they would act on. Usually it was like the easy to understand thing, or if it would be explained in more details, they would still choose something that is rather easy than secure. But we also got feedback from 200, more than 200 actually, IT professionals directly from the companies, but mostly we visited DevConf at Brno from Red Hat, organized by Red Hat, and we had a booth there with Maria. We were 3 days like talking to people. It was very much fun, and we managed to get their like opinions. We are still like in the process of analyzing the data, so this is like a sneak peek like what we are doing right now. But we already can see some patterns, and one of that is that we kind of wanted to know how clear it is and how actionable it is. And it's not the same. I would say that what reads well isn't always what enables action. So something is clear, but doesn't mean it's something they could do the mitigation based on. And another thing is answering the question if we are replaceable. And the thing is that we had like 2 different findings. One was like lower severity and one was like medium severity. For the one that had like lower severity, it was like information leakage from an API endpoint where like the basic recommendation was like masked with asterisks. Like more further recommendation was like do some access control, etc. But it was rather easy to understand, also for the students, also for the professionals. But the other one was like a CAPTCHA cross-site scripting, and it was, I would say, more complex one. So it was less understandable for people, and when they were reading the recommendation, it was more hard to understand. So the result of that is that if it was easy finding, AI was super good for that, for the recommendation, but when the finding was a little bit more complex, they preferred actually the human written recommendation. So sample-wise, we do not have like such big sample, but from what we have, this is what we can see, which is interesting.
So today we only did like a sneak peek of the results of our first paper. So if you scan the QR code right here, then you can access the paper and see everything that we did, the methodology and all the findings. I promise you it's worth a read. And for the second study, we are still developing it. So if you want to be the first one who knows if AI will replace us all and how AI could be integrated into your workflow, then definitely write us a message. Our email addresses are in the next slide. Here. So when we will publish the when we will publish our research, then you will be the first one to know. But yeah, thank you for coming to our talk, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? We will pass the microphone. Yes, and please put on your headphones so you can hear the question.
Should we have the headset, right?
Hello. Okay, I hear also myself. I should turn this off. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the research. Actually, I needed to hear something like this. But what I've seen from the many reports, actually, pen testers don't really evaluate the business perspective of the client scope. For example, multiple sessions allowed. It may be a really problem for a banking app, but actually it's not a problem for a social media because users actually use it on the mobile app and the website, so they have to allow multiple sessions. So they report the same vulnerability for different apps where the clients actually sometimes take them very seriously and okay, we have to fix even the low ones. Like the technical team wants to be seen pretty to the management board, so all the vulnerabilities in the report should be fixed. In that scenario, for example, we come into a conflict with the client because they said, okay, we cannot do this, for example, but the pen tester already wrote it into the report, so we can't also remove it, or like it doesn't make sense to remove it. So did did you do any research about this, or like, do you have any data about this, like how it should be, or any, I don't know, any complaints from the people that you have talked so far?
I can do like a little intro for that.
One second.
Basically for this, I think the multiple mitigation measures, so multiple recommendations will be actually suitable, as well as including tags to who this issue should go to. So many of these recommendations should firstly go to management to decide on the business flow changes. So if these multiple sessions should be actually allowed or not allowed. So if penetration testing reports could have these little hints that before you implement this, maybe talk with your product owner or with your management on, is this actually a desired outcome? This would really help and limit that not so useful recommendations get implemented.
If I understood the question correctly, I think it is the thing of the rules of engagement and scope definition. We had many people complaining about it. It was mostly managerial people. I would say it's more like process problem. We did not, research-wise, we did not focus on this, but we included it in the paper, that the opinions and the results of what people said. But I would say it's a complex problem. But yes, it happened many times. People complained that they even explained to the pen tester that the scope is this is the constraints, this is where to focus, and the pen tester did like a basic thing like it would be any other application. So yes, it happens. I mean, the pen test as such has its limitations. I think the pen tester cannot understand everything, but it could be some scope-wise limited, and I think for now, there will always be important the internal analysis of the report, because, for example, when I work with reports, sometimes pen tester reports something, and in many cases I can see, okay, it's not applicable, it doesn't affect it, or this is not what we care, because we have some other measures to mitigate it. So.
Yeah, I mainly ask actually, for example, XSS in a static application. Do you report this? That's maybe more straightforward to ask it. It's a static application, there is no functionality in it, it's just hosted on a GitHub pages, and you found an XSS, do you report it? That's the main mentality about the question, actually.
I mean, I have experienced that it was reported as like informative, because when you are reporting something, you have to say that this is the risk. And if there is no risk, then maybe you can put it as like informative finding, but otherwise you should not be reported as like high critical thing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of times it was reported as high because it's a generic issue, like XSS is lowest medium, so it should be medium or high without actually looking at application functionality.
Yes, we did not have those cases.
Yeah. We focused more on the usability part. So if they already have some results, what can they do with them? But this is definitely a good topic that we could explore maybe in our third research project. So thank you.
Thank you. What I've seen is like clients are also suffering from this. Maybe it could be added in the research. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, testing. Okay, you can hear me. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thanks. Really, really interesting report, and I love the customer service approach that you're taking, right? It seems to me, and maybe your future publication will talk about this, in which case just feel free to tell me, wait and read that. But it seems to me that the real opportunity of adding all the detail of who should be concerned and approaches they might take and timelines and stuff like that, that's the opportunity to really keep the human in the pen testing, right? That's the value that we add. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, one of the motivations on our current research on how we could integrate AI is to limit these tedious tasks that don't need so much human interaction and can be automated, and then we can more focus on either really customizing the pen test that we are doing, as well as writing quality support trails for the client. So helping with prioritization, helping with understanding the impact to it. So this is one of our goals of the new paper. So this is just like a sneak peek to get you excited.
Yeah, I have non-technical question, and the non-technical question is that I have been witnessed several pen testing presentations to the C-level management. So that the company is doing the pen test. Typically there is a C-level management presentation, and typically there is also a CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, in the room. Typically, the CISO is using the chance and taking to the management that, oh, that I have told you for years, please give me more money and all that. Maybe some 5% of the cases what I have witnessed, the CISO goes to defense mode. CISO tells that, oh, it's bullshit what you have done. It's absolutely not true. You have done it wrongly. It's crap. How to address these situations? Can you? It's more. I know it's not technical. It's more psychological, but yeah.
I mean, I think it's a bit dependent on the client. Yeah, if they see this pen test as an opportunity to show management why further investments into security are really necessary, then we as pen testers can be your voice and help you to get your message across. However, if the CISO or managerial roles are more defensive and they need this pen test to be a success to prove that they are PCI DSS compliant, for example, then we get into a tricky territory. So I suggest to pen testers to show that retests are possible, and we are here to help you fix these issues. So, for example, if you solve these moderate level issues and try them to get down to low, then we can update the report and you will have like a better feeling, and then you can also show that, see, I as a manager managed to get these moderate level issues fixed or get down to low level or info level ones. So this might be a good approach to follow.
Hello, thank you. Do I understand correctly that one of the outcomes of this paper is that you advocate that, or at least based on the results, that all pen testing should have a non-technical element? Because if I understood correctly, that one of the things that the customers really wanted was sort of something that the report is usable for their specific company. So that would require, on the pen testing team, somebody to look into the business side of things, how things are structured in the company, to give this advice. So do I understand correctly that this is one of your outcomes? And then do you think that this is something that should happen? This is sort of your personal take on this, that all pen testing teams should have a strong non-technical element involved. Thank you.
I would say that even though it's not defined how the pen test should look like the structure, there are best practices, and usually there is an executive summary that is usually meant for like managerial people. And people mention in our focus groups that this is what they go for when they start reading it, because it's written, as you said, non-technically, more about there are high findings, and this is the risk, and this can happen if it's exploited. But it does not go into too much detail about their business strategy, logic, and their risks level, because they don't know the risk management and things about the company. However, as I said, it is being there, and they want to keep it managerial people because it is what they read.
So, I mean, I take it that your answer then to my question is no. Because what I gathered from your presentation is that the interest is also more detailed to my company advice, but what you now said is a general executive summary of the technical findings.
The methodology and maybe also the executive summary and the positive findings can be tailored to the client. And clients actually brought out in the focus groups that they can spot if you just run a vulnerability scan, copy-paste a output, and they really want to have this custom tailored approach. As one of the slides pointed out that smaller companies really need help in these business decisions and integrating it. Larger ones, maybe not so much.
Last question.
I'm just curious about the AI reporting aspect. How did you choose the model? Did you do any fine-tuning or retraining, etc.?
To answer that, we actually considered like training special AI or doing something ours, but in the end we considered the reproducibility and it's research, so we want it to be easily reproducible. And we did kind of test what it outputs, like the known like a GPT model. In the end, we ended up with using GPT because our findings were like from web application, and I would say there were rather like there are many materials about it, and for that model it was easy to generate, I would say, quality recommendation. So we did not feel the need to use anything else, and research-wise it was better to use something that can be reproduced.
And we wanted to focus on how to format the input that you give to the model and see, and we played around with it to see if the format that you give changes the result that you get. So we played around with this as well.
Just one comment, because I've been playing around with this as well, and I just found that even the most common, like ChatGPT, for example, when you try to go in, I guess this aligns with what you found as well, but when you get into the more technical explanations, it does still hallucinate quite a bit. That's just what I've experienced. Thank you.
Thank you. We are aware.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our talk and having this awesome discussion with us.
Thank you.